Hi, my name is Carey, and this is another short video on our series of videos on topics that support our emotional health during the coronavirus. So the topic of this video is sleep. Data shows that for many people, sleep has been negatively impacted by the coronavirus, whether that's because our schedule has been thrown off or even due to the stress related to this topic. And I think for some of us, we have sort of an adversarial relationship with sleep where we see it as a necessary evil. But part of what we see is way back in the beginning, in Genesis chapter 2, God created rhythms of work and rest in his good creation. This is part of his goodness, is the gift of sleep. In fact, we see in Psalm 127, verse 2, these words. It says this: "It is in vain that you rise up early and go late to rest, eating the bread of anxious toil, for God gives to his beloved sleep." So sleep is a gift from God that we can make the most of. So this video will be 8 tips for sleeping well. And these tips were given to me by a sleep specialist, and I try to pass them on to others who are wanting to improve their sleep as well. So the first tip is this: eliminating all clocks from your bedroom. So this is an alarm clock. Eliminating all clocks from your bedroom, because oftentimes when we're having a hard time falling asleep, we look at the clock, we see how late it is, and that gives us stress. We're like, it's 1:30 in the morning and I'm not asleep yet. And so the stress over still being awake often keeps us awake. And so what we do is just eliminate that piece of stress by removing clocks from our vision in the bedroom. The second tip is this: eliminating caffeine intake after lunch. And I know this is hard, so we'll call this little hand 1 o'clock, eliminating caffeine intake after lunch, because caffeine actually stays active in our bodies for longer than we realize. The third tip that we want to do is this: establish a fixed sleep window. And so, for example, sleeping every single night from 11:30 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. What that does is it's a regular clip that keeps your body expecting sleep during that time as much as possible. I know that people have different work schedules, but keeping that window and actually reducing the time of sleep that we want by about a half hour. So shorting ourselves sleep by about a half hour. And what that does is it keeps us wanting more sleep for the next night. The fourth tip is this: to practice relaxation techniques throughout the day. So here's somebody deep breathing, they're relaxed. And that means practicing relaxation techniques like deep breathing, the good moment that Lisa went through in a previous video, breath, prayer, progressive muscle relaxation, which you can look up online. And we do that in order to reduce our level of stress throughout the day, so there's not as much buildup by the time we go to bed. So that's relaxation techniques throughout the day. Number 5 is every single night unwinding for at least a half hour. And the reason we do that is to slow down our train of thought. So unwinding every single night, turning off the TV from watching any thrillers, turning the lights down low. You could even drink a cup of tea, whatever it is you do to kind of bring your system down, to unwind every single night and slow your train of thinking. So the 6th tip is, once you do go to bed, having a book in your bed and reading it until your eyes begin to involuntarily close just a little bit. Then you close the book, let your head hit the pillow, and then you fall asleep. And it's important that it's kind of a mindless book, a book that doesn't engage your thinking as much. And so that's why I think it should be something different than scripture, because When we read scripture, we often read it to study it. We don't read it mindlessly. So this would be a book that we read mindlessly. Our thinking is not as engaged, and it just kind of lets us fall asleep. And what that's doing is distracting us from the thought, am I asleep yet? Am I asleep yet? Am I asleep yet? And just letting our body fall asleep. So the 7th tip is to do what we can to exercise and sweat every single day. And so try to sweat every single day, whether that means running, whether that means walking, stretching, working out, whatever it is, sweat every single day. That will make our bodies want sleep more, and when we do sleep, we'll sleep harder. And the final tip, if you really want to get after kind of this whole sleep health thing, it's to keep a journal on how you're sleeping. Just a really brief journal, making really a minute or two amount of entries in it in the morning. And what you're doing is just jotting down how much sleep you got and the quality of sleep you got. And the reason we do that is to create evidence that we can look back on and say, I can fall asleep. I have the ability to feel well and fall asleep. And so that journal functions as evidence. And so what these 8 things do is combined, they can help improve our sleep health and to receive this good gift that God has given us. Thank you.